Good morning, everyone. We are going to get started shortly. I want to welcome you to this morning's webinar featuring Keith Parker. And we'll give it just another few seconds for our attendees to arrive. Well, good morning again. This is Deborah Lanham with the Alpharetta Chamber of Commerce, and I want to welcome you this morning to our webinar featuring Keith Parker, who is the President and CEO of Goodwill North Georgia. So excited to have him with us today. I hope you are all doing well. I know we'll have others joining us as the morning progresses, but we're going to spend an hour together. I hope you're doing well, and I'll catch up with you after this event. We have a great team here for you this morning, but let me just make a few introductions. I want to thank Caitlin Sturmer, our event and member manager with the Chamber, for joining us and helping out today. We are going to be live on Facebook, so we will also make this presentation available after the event today, and that will be in a follow-up email, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. Also want to welcome Ted Schwartz, who is the chairman of Coffee and Commerce and helps coordinate and put this event together, and you'll be hearing from him in just a minute. Also want to thank Michael Grillo. He's the COO of My Mobile Life. He's a digital marketing and web development expert. He's also producing this event for us today, helping make sure we don't have any glitches, and if we do, he will take care of it all. Thank you, Michael. Glad to have you with us. So we're going to get started. I would like to again introduce Ted Schwartz and allow Ted to go ahead and host this event. We will be on standby. Want to remind you we do have a Q&A feature that allows you, as you're hearing the presentation or any one of our guests this morning, that you can put a question into that field, and we will be watching that for the end where we'll have a Q&A time. Also, there's a chat feature. I think we're all familiar with that by now if we've been on these virtual events. So feel free to use the chat to greet, to share your thoughts. And Ted, take us away. Host this event for us, would you?
I will. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
So, everybody good this morning? So we have this event called Coffee and Commerce, and this is the first time that we've done it this way, the virtual way. But what is Coffee and Commerce? Coffee and Commerce involves two main things. First, it involves coffee. So if you have your coffee, you want to raise your glass. We can all see where everybody's coffee's from. I went to Starbucks this morning, had no choice, and do that. And second, we have a great speaker. This is a chance for the chamber to interact with each other and to hear leaders in our community. We normally meet 4 times a year. At our last meeting in February, if you remember, we had Gabe Sterling with the Georgia Department of State. And we also heard from Deborah Lanham and Ron Altman, as Deborah was just beginning her tenure with the Alpharetta Chamber. Boy, that has been some tenure so far, Deborah, really. Only a couple months in, and we got a doozy. And then we're gonna, again, have a meeting again in August. I don't know whether it'll be this way or the real way. And we'll meet again in November. And so we can't really do this event without our sponsor. And we're really proud to have a recent sponsor, a visionary member of the Chamber of Commerce. And they were actually at the last event back in February and really enjoyed the event. It is Parish Construction Group, which is a mid-sized construction management firm and is a leading K through 12 public and high ed builder in Georgia. And today, speaking on behalf of Parish is Dave Ewis. Let me introduce you to Dave. Dave is the Vice President of Business Development at Parish Construction Group. He's been in the construction industry for nearly 20 years, and he has worked his way up in the industry. He was in pre-construction, project management, and now he's in business development. Maybe he hasn't done the superintendent part, I understand. He did, however, I will make a note, he did, however, graduate from Purdue University. So, Dave, we're going to have a talk about that. I went to Indiana University, Bloomington. So there you go. So we're going to have a lunch afterwards, and we'll talk about that and talk about that great rivalry in the state of Indiana. But I digress. Dave hails from Fairport, New York, which is I didn't know where that was, but it is a suburb of Rochester, New York. So without further ado, Dave Ewis, welcome.
Are you all hearing me now, or is it still on? You got me? Okay. Well, Ted, thanks for the great introduction. And yes, I am sorry that you had to go to that other university in the state of Indiana. But we will continue that conversation at a later date. But yeah, as Ted mentioned, I am Dave Uhas. I'm the Vice President of Parish Construction. And, I had the wonderful opportunity to meet many of you last Coffee and Commerce, like he mentioned, back in February, which seems like years and years ago with all that's transpired with this pandemic. But when, Deborah, she approached me about the opportunity to sponsor the event, I thought it was an incredible opportunity for Parish to kind of jump in, get involved with the chamber. We are new, but we wanted to get involved and, show our support to the chamber and the community. And, I'm a 12-year resident of Alpharetta myself, so I'm extremely excited to be involved and to give back. But since we are new to the chamber, Ted mentioned it, that last Coffee and Commerce was literally the first week that we were members. So I haven't really had an opportunity to meet many of you, tell you who Parish is. So just real quickly, I want to just give you a quick brief update of Parish, and hopefully that'll be the last time we ever we talk about that, and we can just get to other things. So let me see if I can share my screen and just pull up this quick PowerPoint so you guys can see. Hopefully it's all showing now, but who Parish is. That way you're not looking at my face the entire time. But Parish Construction, we're a 25-year-old construction company with about 115 employees. As he mentioned, our major markets are education. We do healthcare, commercial, and industrial as well. We are the largest education builder in the state of Georgia, but that's not all we do. Between all of our market sectors, healthcare, industrial, we're going to probably do about $250 million worth of work this year. We're fortunate, the governor, as soon as the pandemic started, the governor deemed construction essential business, and we've been able to keep working. We did lose a couple projects have been postponed, but we were very fortunate that most of our employees were able to keep working. I know a lot of other industries are not so fortunate, so hopefully we can get together and see how we can support you all as well. But with that, we service the entire Southeast United States. We've got 3 offices, one in Alpharetta where I'm based. We're actually in permitting right now for our new space in the Georgia 400 Center. So hopefully we're moving into our new space here in the next couple months, probably July. We also have offices in Warner Robins and Perry. And between the 3 of those, you can see on the map, we've kind of touched almost half of the counties of the state, and we've also worked in pretty much every surrounding state to the state of Georgia. So that's just a quick introduction to Parish Construction. Obviously, we can have further conversations later. But Ted, with that, I kind of want to just let you jump back into it and talk about, I guess the rest of the program. But again, I'm honored for the opportunity to sponsor today's event, and we look forward to meeting and talking to you all soon.
Dave, thank you very much. We really appreciate your membership into the chamber. We appreciate your involvement and willingness to dig in. This is a great way of introducing you to the chamber, and I think you'll find that this will be a rewarding relationship.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
With now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce our featured speaker, and that is Keith Parker. Keith is the president and CEO of Goodwill of North Georgia, and Goodwill North Georgia is one of the largest nonprofits in the Southeast. His Goodwill territory covers 45 counties, 65 stores, and employs over 3,000 people in our state while serving 7 million people. 7 million shoppers in 2019. Goodwill North Georgia is also one of the most successful workforce development program agencies in the state. I'm sure Keith is going to talk about that. Prior to Goodwill, Keith was the CEO of MARTA in Atlanta, as you well know what that is. He served there for 5 years. Before that, he was in San Antonio and in Charlotte running their transit systems. During Keith's 5-year tenure at MARTA, he really transformed the organization. I've been in Atlanta for 30 years, and I don't think there was a better impact in those 5 years with MARTA, with Keith at the helm. And he really helped garner a lot of key employers like State Farm, to name a few, in the perimeter area. Keith has served on a number of boards. I am not going to read all this stuff, but I'm going to tell you that he is really one of Atlanta's most influential leaders. However, we do have a commonality. Keith and I are both in Leadership Atlanta. Keith is the proud graduate of Leadership Atlanta 2014. And one of his fellow alumnus is Eric Barnum. Eric is a great guy. And Eric is the current program chair of Leadership Atlanta 2020, of which I'm involved in. And I will just say this. We, at the class of 2020, Keith, I'm just telling you this. Not only are we the best class ever, but we are definitely the longest running Leadership Atlanta program ever, without a doubt, as we are still trying to finish our Leadership Atlanta year. We're having our last program day tomorrow, and I think we're supposed to graduate in June, but I don't know exactly what those details are. But I want to go back. Keith has a wife, Dawn. They have 3 beautiful children. They live right down the street in Roswell. And ladies and gentlemen, Keith Parker.
Well, good morning, Ted, and good morning, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me and see me okay. More importantly, that you can hear me. The see me part isn't as important. And since, Ted, you're refusing to read my bio, I'm going to take the next 5 minutes to complete that. So, but again, I'm thrilled to be here this morning with the folks from North Fulton. I've been a North Fultonite since moving to Atlanta 7.5 years ago. We thoroughly enjoyed it. Family enjoys being in the parks and all the other places that make North Fulton special. So this morning, we're going to have a couple of things we want to accomplish. And I have one of my colleagues, Darius, controlling the slides. So Darius, you can go to the next slide. 2 major objectives. First, I want to give you a little bit more information about Goodwill's mission And then secondly, how we as Goodwill can help you and your businesses thrive during this very difficult economy. So Darius, next slide, please. So Goodwill's mission. Most people are very aware of our stores and have either shopped or donated to our stores, but not very many people know what our real core mission is, and that is to put people to work. We've been doing it for actually upwards of 95 years in a very meaningful way. As you can see my backdrop, I'm actually not in a church. These stained glass windows are part of our building here in Decatur. This building we just built about 3 years ago, but we actually started out off of Auburn Avenue in the city of Atlanta, as I mentioned, back in over 95 years ago, around 95 years ago. These stained glass windows were in that original building, and they were on a scrap heap. And when we were building this building, someone remembered, hey, look, what can we do to make this, to create the connection from our origin to where we are now? And we're able to salvage these windows, and they're beautiful. They look much better when you're right here in the building. And so, so I'm not coming to you from a church. I'm coming to you directly from our Decatur facility. So with that, let me tell you a little bit about how all this comes to fruition. First, economically, Goodwill of North Georgia is now one of the most impactful organizations in the state, with approaching a $1 billion annual impact to Georgia's economy. On the education front, which I'll talk to you a little bit about, a bit more about, we are doing a lot of very innovative things and finding tremendous results. And then environmentally, what we do is almost as impactful as any other of the environmental sustainability efforts you can engage in. And I'll talk more about that as well. Next slide, Darius. On the education front, we work with several dozen high schools in Metro Atlanta area. And in the areas where we work, and we go into these high schools and put our wraparound services with the student body. And in areas where we work, where you may see a high school that has an overall graduation rate of say 74, 75%. When Goodwill gets involved, the students who join in with us graduate at a 98% level. You take this even further with community colleges. We have partnerships with quite a few different community and technical colleges. And the overall graduation rate for these colleges, for a variety of reasons, hovers between 15 and 25%. For those who partner with Goodwill, their graduation rate jumps up to 85%. And so we're having tremendous success in the education realm as well. Next slide. And just as impactful, though, is what we do with the environment. We are growing our market share in many respects with people, not just because they like the cool things that they can buy from us, but they like the fact that by buying from us, they are having a very positive impact on the environment. Now, many people may not know that just a single pair of jeans, that's why we use these as an example, just a single pair of jeans takes between 2,000 to 3,000 gallons of water to produce. And we all know that jeans are virtually indestructible. So the pair of jeans that's in your closet right now that may have been sitting for the last 2-3 years because maybe they don't fit quite as well as they used to, is the perfect fit for someone else. And by donating it to Goodwill and we recycle it and put it out there for someone else to use, we are diverting tens of millions of pounds of items that ordinarily would go into the landfill. So we're having literally a catalytic type of impact on our nation's environment. And you'll be hearing more about this at the national level as all of our Goodwill groups are working together to get that message out. Next slide, Darius. And how does all this come together? You know, I normally ask when I give these presentations, and I've spoken in front of lots of Rotary clubs and Kiwanis groups and other chambers and so forth. In the room, I always ask, how many people have either donated or shopped at a Goodwill? And to date, and I probably have done literally since I started Goodwill 2.5 years ago, probably done 100, 120 of these presentations. To date, every single person has raised their hands to either say they donated or shopped at a Goodwill. So when you donate, we take your lightly used donation, put it in one of our stores, process it, put it up for sale, and take the profits to put people to work. So take the profits to do our workforce development, which I'll tell you a bit more about. And as we get into that, a lot of things about Goodwill you may not be aware of. So we want to take a moment or two to dispel a few rumors, but also to tell you a few things that you may not be aware of that makes Goodwill a truly special organization. One of those is that we are the largest nonprofit employer here in Metro Atlanta and one of the largest in the entire state. In fact, we have more employees than any other nonprofit in Georgia with over 3,000 and growing our business more significantly. Darius? And you can see this is a map of North Georgia. We cover a 45 county region and with 65 stores and another 2 about to open up and another 55 donation centers. When you look at the population of North Georgia, we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 85% of North Georgia's population is within a 10-minute drive of a Goodwill. So we are all over the place. In fact, we passed Target about 2 years ago in terms of the number of stores we have here in the state of Georgia. Next slide. But who are the people who shop at Goodwill? And this has really changed over time. There was a time that people really thought of the thrift shopper as somebody who simply couldn't afford to shop anyplace else. But our market data indicates a very different group of people. And we really have a customer base that is all over. Our typical shopper right now is a college-educated female, 45 years old or over, 45 years plus, married, lives in a household with more than 2 adults, has a median income 30% beyond the average Metro Atlanta income. And we haven't figured this one out yet, but typically they have a cat. So we haven't figured it completely out where that comes from as part of our mix, but we have an extraordinarily diverse group of people who shop at Goodwill, ranging from very distressed folks who do need to make every dollar count to people who are quite affluent. In fact, and I won't call him out, one of our North Fulton neighbors who used to serve on the board with me at MARTA, quite an affluent fellow, but his wife, when they heard I was moving over to Goodwill, he and his wife came over and chatted with me, and he was saying, I come to at least one Goodwill store every week and I buy books. And his wife tells me, oh yeah, we do a ton of our shopping for our kids, for our grandkids and so forth. And then she starts to chastise me about our prices being too high. So you just never know what you may get when it comes to the Goodwill shoppers. Next slide for us, Darius. And one of the other things that we do though is that we are an extraordinarily tightly run business. Now, we have 65 stores, every one of them is profitable. And we use those profits again to put back into workforce development. Many people think because we're a nonprofit, we're getting lots of our revenue coming from the federal government and state government and so forth. Could not be further from the truth. Only about 4% of our funding comes from the federal government, much of it going directly back into helping people with disabilities and their job search efforts, and then a relatively small 2-3% of our funding coming from state government, and those are directly in programs that we use to again help distressed workers find employment and find workforce training. In Fulton County, we have an enormous presence. One of our Fulton is a piece of our bread and butter of our backbone here. We have over 1,100 partners who we work with, 1,100 different employers who we work with in Fulton County. As you can see the numbers there, just under 6,000 people approached us last year looking for work, and we helped place just about 2,500 of them in jobs, and that number keeps growing. So we're having tremendous success in Fulton County, and know it's just a piece of who Goodwill really is. But we're here for the community as well, and we know that when we shut down our stores almost 2 months ago, that there are lots of people who really, really needed us. So now we're back into the reopen mode, and Darius, you can switch to the next slide. We have, as I mentioned, over approaching $1 billion impact on the state's economy. And when our stores are shut down, it has a multiplier effect in terms of how it hits the state's economy. Everything from our direct employees who could be impacted, as well as the folks who shop in our stores, the folks who need us for our workforce development and training. So we viewed an urgency of getting our stores reopened, but we wanted to make sure we get it just right. Next slide. So when you think about Goodwill reopening, sort of think about it in the same way in terms of how we're running our businesses as the way Target, Home Depot, Walmart, those types of retailers have been operating for the last few months. Those who have not, those who have remained open. So we are following some of the guidelines that they do, but taking it even to a higher level. Because we know we are a thrift store and that people have even greater sensitivity to making sure that things are safe, we've taken our cleaning and sanitation to an extraordinary level. First, we don't sell any product that hasn't been actually sitting for several days anyway. And as what we've heard from the CDC is almost any of the surfaces that this virus will touch, it dies within a 2 to 3 day period. But again, we want to go even beyond that. We now have a misting agent that we are using in all of our stores that we apply to all our clothing and all the other furniture and those sorts of things to completely eliminate 99.99% eliminates all these different germs, bacteria, and so forth that may be on any of the products we have out there. We have shut down the fitting rooms as an effort to make sure people are not getting in a place where they can, share, that they can pick up the virus or leave germs and that sort of thing. We sanitize every shopping cart and have ambassadors to control the flow of people as they're coming into the stores and so forth. So when you're coming into a Goodwill store, you're coming into an extremely clean environment. Next slide. And we are treating our guest safety extremely carefully. So we are doing social distancing. Our typical store is in the 22 to 23,000 square foot area. So we can accommodate literally over 200 people pretty easily in a store at a time. We're limiting that number to about 50 to 55 to be even extra careful with it. And we've had, in some cases, since we've reopened, we've had dozens of people waiting outside, but we are socially distancing them as well to make sure everybody stays safe. All of our associates are wearing gloves and masks and constantly cleaning, and we have sanitizer, and we have other things, again, to keep the store safe and clean and keep things moving, keeping things moving along. And so next slide for us, Darius. Including making sure we talk to our customers as they're about to approach. We are asking everybody how they're feeling and making sure that, again, they're practicing social distancing. We have had great response. We opened 20 stores last week and then opened the remainder just yesterday. And the customer level of acquiescence to what we're asking has just been incredibly positive. And we're off to a huge start with great sales and that sort of thing as well. So Darius. And we've actually also put up the plexiglass guards that you'll see in Target and some of those other places. But we've also made a couple of things that we're going to permanently do now that we've learned that it's going to be a best practice for us. One, we've now instituted contactless pay. So from your smartphone, you can control your entire transaction. And then very importantly with donations, we now have a stay in your car donating system, if you will. So what we ask people to do, if you have a donation, put it in your trunk or in the back of your SUV, drive up to any one of our donation centers or stores, don't get out the car, don't even roll down the window, just pop the trunk. Our folks will take your donation out, put your receipt in the trunk for you so you can get it out when you get back to your home or your final destination. And if you're in an SUV, we do the same thing, we're just doing it in the back of your car. Just again, just ask you to open the door for us, and then we can move forward with taking care of the donation and getting it processed and getting people back to work. Our people are the core of our business, and we are extremely proud to say that during this shutdown, during this pandemic, we've not laid off a single person. We've kept all 3,000 of our employees employed. We have kept everybody who is on the health insurance, didn't increase it. And now that we're reopening, we've had an incredible amount of people who joined us, came right back to our team. And now in fact, we had over 95% of the folks who were working over at the CDC, for example, 95% of them came back and stayed in their jobs. Now, what can we do in playing a role in your success as a business owner, business leader here in the North Fulton area? Well, Goodwill, Darius, next slide. Goodwill has established more than 5,000 partnerships, from small mom and pop shops of 1 and 2 people up to Home Depot and other very, very large organizations, and we can certainly partner with you. Employers, right now, even when in the midst of this enormous level of downturn, as it relates to our economy and the number of people who are laying off, there are still employers out there employing, and we are working with them every single day. Publix, Kroger, Walmart, Target, and Amazon are some of our biggest clients, and we're helping provide employees for them to keep things going. Next slide. And one of those that we'll take a moment to just explain is with Amazon. Some of you may know that when the Metro Atlanta area and the whole state of Georgia was recruiting Amazon a few years ago, I was actually on that team helping to recruit them. Now, we were unsuccessful in that effort, but we immediately wanted to forge ties with Amazon. And in the last 18 months, we have helped provide, of the 5,000 or so people who they've hired in the Metro Atlanta area, we have provided over 2,600 of those people directly to Amazon, people who are trained, ready to go, and helping to keep their business growing and thriving. Next slide. And what can we do for folks who individually need help? Well, during the shutdown, we had to shut down most of our career services centers because of the pandemic. But our virtual career center kept going. And in fact, it ramped up pretty dramatically in terms of the number of people who are using it. So if you go to careerconnector.com, you can find information on how we can help you find your next job, help you build your resume, work on your cover letter, your interview skills, and we're actually restarting many of our job training and workforce development programs, everything from apartment maintenance, computer career types of opportunities, and everything in between. Next slide. Our virtual services that we provide for businesses include customer service training, supply side, management logistics, retail customer service training, and a whole host of other things in high demand areas such as healthcare and environmental services. Soft skills training, one of the areas that we have become extraordinarily good at providing services to, is helping you and your employees develop the soft skill training to make them even more marketable, to make them even more productive in what they do every day. Our folks do this in everything from telephone etiquette, how to approach difficult customers, how to work alongside colleagues, all the things that make an employee who's a good employee begin to transition them into a level of great employee. What is GoodBIZ? This is another program we have that works very, very well, particularly suited for small businesses, where you can go through a 15-week completely free of charge program that helps you develop everything from your initial business plan to helping you with your recruiting, helping you secure your small business loans, and a whole host of other things. Many of the folks who work with us in this program had businesses that have been around for quite a while, but by coming through the Goodwill program, they're learning a level of refinement that has helped them seek their business to the very next level. There it is. One of those business owners is Amia. She works and created a company called Takes a Village Transportation. Came to us, we helped her develop the business plan, helped her recruit her first group of folks, and now her business has gone from a one-van shop to the beginnings. It's going to be a great, great company. She's just one of literally hundreds of groups that we've helped forge businesses all around North Georgia. And again, some small employers to some larger ones who just needed a bit more refinement on the way they do their businesses. So just last year, for example, we worked with companies in Athens, companies in Griffin, companies in Hartwell to take their businesses to another level, free of charge, services that they're finding to be tremendous value to them, particularly in a time like this, where so many companies are downsizing and the unemployment rolls are growing. People who are creative are developing or pivoting their businesses to meet the high demand of services and products that are out there, and Goodwill is a great partner to join with in helping you reach that dream. With that, Ted, I think we can begin to take any questions that may be out there. We ask, and when you see some of our information, if you want to join us on social media, come to goodwill.org, careerconnector.org, or you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at the handles you see there. So I know we went a little quick there, but we're willing to answer any questions or suggestions that you all may have for us.
That was great, Keith. Really, there's a lot. I mean, you could be talking about this for about 2 hours. There's a lot to your organization, but we do have some questions, and some are posted up on question and answer. But I'm gonna get to first a couple, and then we'll go to the ones on question and answer. What things do you typically accept and not accept at your donation stores?
Yes, so that's an excellent question. We typically use a rule of thumb as we want to make sure it's clean, usable, and something that at some point you found to be worthwhile having in your house. So we don't want things that are tattered to a point where we'll just end up throwing it away. So the perfect item for us, for example, is a suit. You know, a suit that may have been sitting in your closet for 2 or 3 years because it doesn't fit as well as it used to. But the suit that doesn't fit well to you is a great new uniform for the person who's going on a job interview. Or right. It's something they may want to take their wife on a date. And so dresses, suits, shoes, but then things like furniture also are very high demand. Sports equipment. One of the places that we sell a ton of, one of the items we sell a ton of are golf clubs. So you might be a hacker like myself, and as you go through a set of clubs and it's just gathering dust in your garage and you bought a new driver or something like that, drop it off to Goodwill. Somebody else is going to make use of that and turn it into the driver of their dreams.
What about questions about placing trained workers when have they been furloughed during this process? I mean, you're busy working with people for Amazon and all these different companies in the state of Georgia. What happened to those people that you help influence? What's been the results of those people?
So 2 different groups. The people who work for us directly. Again, we went into the pandemic with 3 major goals. First, focus on the health and safety. Second, keep our mission work going. So we wanted to make sure we continue to help people find jobs. But then third, to protect our own employees as much as we possibly could. And so we did not furlough any of our folks. We did not lay off anyone. We kept their health insurance in place. And so almost all of our people who we started with when the pandemic started are still here now working for us. And so now that we've geared back up to get our stores reopened, those folks are there and our career centers are open, so we're helping everyone. Now, as far as some of the people we help find jobs for other companies, whether it's Amazon or some of those others, yes, we have heard that some companies have begun to reduce their workforces. And in that case, we are encouraging them, come back, send your folks back to Goodwill, because there are employers who still are looking for people. And we're helping to place those folks in new jobs, new careers, but also in some cases helping people pivot from one skill set to another. So there's a huge amount of demand out there still for people with good customer service skills. And so we're working with a number of employers to work on that in those areas again, right as we speak.
If clothing stores, when you're reopening, what will the new rules be for them?
Now for our retail stores, what we're doing is, again, requiring social distancing. We will not let the stores get crowded at any point and meter the number of customers who can come in at any one time. We are doing a number of things, as I mentioned in the presentation, to keep the stores spotlessly clean. So if you come into a Goodwill now, you'll see that we are as clean or cleaner than any of the traditional retailers that are out there. We're doing everything we can to keep our customers, our employees, and our communities safe.
Do you miss being at MARTA?
That's an excellent question. I have forged great relationships in the public transit industry, not just at MARTA, but around the country, and maintain those friendships. So now and then I get a phone call with folks seeking a little bit of advice. But yes, I watch from afar the public transit world and see how things have turned upside down with them. in terms of people are afraid to ride buses and trains right now at significant levels, while the people who do ride them, including some of our customers at Goodwill and some of our employees, they need it as a lifeline service. So you got a real dilemma as we speak, but some great folks.
And I'm going to ask a general question. What keeps you up at night?
You know, this pandemic has been particularly stressful from this vantage point. We know that people need Goodwill services. We know it. We hear it every day. When we shut down, we heard it immediately. How soon are you going to ramp back up? We know our employees need income. And so they want to be employed. They want to go to work and they want to support themselves and their families. And we know we have to try to keep everybody safe. Any business, no matter how big and how resourceful they've been, if you are in business for weeks and months at a time without any revenue coming in, while you have expenses, that's not a way to be sustainable. So we wanted to get open as quickly as we could, but we wanted to make sure we did it as safely as we could. So we think we've done that. What keeps me up at night, if anything, it's what if this pandemic hits again? What if there's another spike in the number of people who are getting sick that causes us to either reduce our hours or have to shut down again? And what if customers are just simply get to a point where they're afraid to come outside? And if they're afraid to come outside, that means they're not shopping. So those are the things that give me the greatest level of concern, but we're going to keep at it and try to and continue to be an essential service here in our region and do something for the folks out there who need the most help. And those are the people who have the greatest barriers to employment.
I agree. And I think you need to display an optimistic tone for not only your employees, but for the public as well. I think it's critical of your leadership to be able to do that. And I commend you on what you're doing. I don't have a lot of different questions here. Does anybody else, Deborah, do you have some questions that you would like to ask?
Well, Keith, again, thank you for being with us this morning. You know, one thing I think about is just understanding your background, the experiences you've had in other markets, especially in transit. And, you know, I just listening to you this morning, it hit me that you are still in the business of moving people forward. And I love what you're doing and the fact that you're continuing these relationships. So I thank you. And our guests the comments are coming in that folks, thank you so much. I am, though, really curious in terms of a business community like Alpharetta, how can we put your people to work? Because if they're ready to go, they're skilled. And we know some of our restaurants have gone through some real transition in terms of their employees. And we're getting into the warmer months now. College students, typically they're getting graduated or, you know, getting ready to get back into the workforce over the summer. So how do we help partner up with you and get those people that you're training to work in our community?
Well, we certainly love partnering with different groups, and some of our employees have certainly been placed, or some of the people who we've helped have been placed in some of the North Georgia places like Target and Walmart and so forth. As far as restaurants, yes, the soft skill training that we do is often the difference between a person having a 2-month career at a restaurant and a person having a long career in that restaurant. And again, how to deal with customers who might be a bit more difficult, or how to deal with colleagues who are a bit more difficult. But anybody who'd like to reach out to me with any of the areas, any of the ways of connecting with me that I mentioned at the end of the presentation, please do so. And I'll gladly chat with you and have our folks chat with you about how we can set up an opportunity to help feed great new people into your organization. Or if you have good people and they just need a bit more skill enhancement, to work with you on that as well.
Very good. Another question that did come in about furniture. Do you accept donations that are larger than the clothing items? And do you have trucks that would come in and pick up furniture or donations like that?
Right. We do. We have lots of furniture and people, everything from sofas, and some people actually bring us a lot of great looking electronics. Yesterday I was in one of our stores and saw a huge number of big screen TVs that people have donated. And we check and we test them all to make sure they're working before we put them out on the sales floor. We don't pick up things just yet because what we have found is that it creates liability concerns and a whole host of other things. And right now we have a great number of donations and it works for us. It's something we'll continue to explore in the future to see if we do need to start pickups. But at this point, no, we don't do it. But do encourage you, if you do have furniture, especially those have been spring cleaning, and we have a lot of that, bring that to us beginning Monday, May 18th, and we'll turn it into somebody else's great new living room piece.
Very good. I do have some parting words, but before that, Ted, any other questions that have arrived in Q&A, or Caitlin? We want to make sure we hit some of those that have come in just recently.
Hey, Keith, some people have still been asking just, and I know you briefly touched upon it in your presentation. Thank you so much for doing that. They're just asking again, just the protocol now with either bringing items in. People have been asking if you can try clothes on, and just kind of, if you can just reiterate what you guys are doing and how to donate. And then once you're in store shopping, just kind of like what to expect when you're there.
Great. Again, that's an excellent question. On the donation front, we have made it as, again, it's called contactless donations. And we've made it as easy as we possibly can. And that is, let's say if you have a whole couple of suitcases full of clothing you want to drop off, and you've got some dishes and stemware that you like to drop off. We tell you just patch it up, put it in your trunk. You don't have to make it all neat or anything. We'll take care of that. Just put it in the trunk of your car, drive to your nearest Goodwill, and go to our website, goodwillng for North Georgia.org, and we will locate the closest store for you. The website actually finds that out for you. But go to that site and just pop the trunk, and our folks take care of it, and they will leave a receipt for you for tax purposes for later. So again, we never get within the 6 feet of the customer and our employees. So please follow that protocol. In our stores, we monitor and keep everybody socially distanced. Another practice we've recently instituted is one-way aisles. So to avoid people crossing each other in aisles, we now require that once you go into an aisle, you keep going in that direction. So that reduces the amount of contact customers have with each other. We've shut down the dressing rooms, but in the meantime, since we've shut those down, we are now allowing people to return clothing. So if you had an item that, because you didn't get a chance to try it on, you can take it home, see if it fits. If it doesn't, you can bring it back for a full refund. So these are practices that we have just started as a result of the pandemic, and we'll see if these are things we need to continue. In the past, clothing has been our #1 sales item, and people buy a ton of it because, again, the prices are low, the environmental friendliness of it, and there's a cool factor to buying vintage clothing now. If you go to Macy's, you can find the same t-shirt in the Macy's in Savannah as you will in the Macy's in Hartwell. You go to Goodwill, you're typically finding one-of-a-kind items, and that's why so many college students have now found Goodwill as their preferential place to do their shopping.
If you, what else besides donations and giving to the stores can someone like myself do to support Goodwill? Is it financial donations? What else can people do that don't go to the stores?
That's an excellent question. A few things. First, we certainly do accept monetary donations. One of those areas, we study workforce development and unemployment very, very closely. And what we've seen, the initial results of the pandemic and what the impact it's had on our economy in our region is that the two hardest hit areas are Gwinnett County, so surprisingly, but Gwinnett has been hit extremely hard. And then South Atlanta, just below the I-20 line have seen the hardest and biggest spikes of unemployment. So we are looking at how we can particularly target those areas. One example would be in South Atlanta. We are building a new career center and a workforce development site and store in South Atlanta, just near the Metropolitan Parkway area. And that area, again, is extremely hard hit, and we know our service is going to be needed there. We are in the fundraising mode of helping to pay for that facility. So if that's something you'd like to volunteer on, go to our website and we'll show you exactly how to make a donation. In addition, we are always in the market for people who want to help on our workforce training. So many of the folks who come into our career centers need help with interview skills. Someone like you, Ted, who interviewed, I'm sure, a few times and interviewed people quite a few times, can give some pointers on what a person can do to make themselves more marketable. Make sure they're wearing the right things, not saying such things that are inflammatory in their interview. So those are things that people can do and volunteer. They can volunteer for a few hours a month or just a couple of times a year. Whatever you want to do, we can work with you on.
That's great. That's perfect. Deborah, you have any other things? I think we're going to give it to Caitlin here to.
I have, yeah, just one more question. And again, I think we touched on this, and we'll make sure everyone has your contact information, Keith, as you have given that out. But the workforce development piece is really important. And there are those asking how they can forge those partnerships with you. And if there is someone else they need to contact to begin that effort, I think there are those out there that do want to help you in that training and skill development.
Well, great. We look forward to the continued partnerships. As I mentioned, we've got over 5,000. We'd love to have 5,001, 5,002 from groups in North Fulton. So North Fulton and Fulton County, just in general, again, is a major piece of what we do and critical to how we move forward. So any and all partnerships we welcome.
Very good. Well, Caitlin, why don't you update us? Well, thank you, Keith. Appreciate it so much. I'm going to ask Caitlin now to just give us all an update quickly on coming events.
Yes, give me one moment. Share screen real fast. All right. Slideshow. All right. Okay, so just some upcoming events for everyone to be aware of. On Tuesday, can everyone see this? There we go. Tuesday, May 19th at 9 in the morning, we have our Member 101. Oops, sorry, go too fast. And anyone's invited to that. Sorry, sorry, 4-year-old. And anyone's invited to this, especially our new members or prospective members who just want more information on the chamber and how to just, maximize your benefits. We just go over the many different things that the chamber can help you with, connect you with, and to be able to help grow your business. We also spend time on the portal, which is really helpful for our members just to, maximize everything that we have available for you. And answer any questions you may have about chamber life or how it can help support your business or community. And then on the 20th, we have our virtual Wind Up Wednesday. We're still going virtual with these just until we get the clearance, but still a great opportunity. Great opportunity to be able to come and connect and just catch up with fellow members, and we get to hear from you, which is really awesome and just a great way to be able to spend time together, even if we can't be in person together yet. And then please save the date. It will be coming soon. So our golf networking link, we are excited to be able to start this soon. So if you are interested in coming and being joining a foursome, or if you're just wanting to be part of the league, we can put you on a team. We'd be happy to have you. All our information is on our website, but you can also email me and we'd be happy to be able to help you.
Caitlin, I will tell you that this event, this golf networking thing, is probably one of the best events that this chamber does. It makes it unique. I have forged great relationships from the networking. I think it'll be a little bit different this year in that we're going to be in our own separate carts, I have a feeling. I don't know exactly who's going to take out the pin, but it is what it is. It is a great way to get together and forge a relationship, and it's needed in times like this.
Yeah, I wholly agree. Thank you so much, Ted, for that. And yeah, please, anyone interested, just feel free to contact me. My email's on there. If not, it's on the website as well. And then, as always, please follow us on social media for any important updates. We like to be able to just let y'all know of upcoming events, but also to follow up on events as well. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Caitlin. I think we're wrapping up. We're coming up on 8:55. And I want to thank everybody for a great event. Thank you, Keith. You're the man. We'll talk down the road. And Deborah, thank you. Caitlin, thank you. Dave, thank you for your sponsorship. Thank you for being a part of us. And everybody, I wish you guys nothing but the best today, and make it a great day. Okay? Be good.
Thank you, Ted. Let me just add one more thing. We do know that our governor on Tuesday has updated that executive order, so we will have updates on our website. I think what it is we continue to open up, there's just some more gradual movement. And also, I just want to encourage you all today, in my reading this morning, came across a little verse that talked about not allowing anything to frustrate your plans. So I wish you all and pray for you all that you're going to go make this a great day. And let's just stay positive. We're going to get through this together. Again, Keith, thank you for your time, and all of our team members that have made this possible. It will be in a follow-up email to everyone. We'll have it recorded. You'll be able to access again, and we'll make sure we follow up with contact information. So if you want to reach out to Goodwill, or you want to talk to Parish Construction Group, or any of us at the Chamber, we'll make that available to you later this afternoon. Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye-bye.